Good morning, Blue Rhythmic Storm. How are we doing today? How am I coming in here today? I can overlook a landscape of a lot of information. And as I'm overlooking the landscape of this information, eagling around, flying up on high, my snake, my body, is experiencing flirtations with tension, which in turn make a part of my mind look up and say, oh, what's going on? Do we have a problem? Do we have to solve something? Is there stress? And my body is like, oh, you were gone. I was a bit nervous. Where's my guardian? But then the mind is like, hey, you are body. You don't need me as guardian. You got your instincts. So we are like, oh. The storm. I thought to myself this morning, there's nothing to say. A little bit later I thought, oh my God, there's so much to say. And now I come here and I come here with that same, this is why I love coming here, because like I have, it's like entering a room and everything gets left outside that room. This is the magician's inner chamber, the wizard's inner chamber, this wizard's inner chamber, my inner chamber, which is exactly the place where I'm connected to the collective. Yeah. Is there anything to say? Is anything I could say of any value? Talking about the storm? I'm talking myself through the Tzolk'in in this podcast. And I have a lot of, for me personally, it's a lot of wonderful insights or patterns that it weaves through me that come to consciousness, to my consciousness. One of them that's really highlighted in these last 19 days is the connection between tones 1 and 5. between the magnet and the overtone. Today we're on tone 6, which is a very great position to be in, or maybe it's very natural to contemplate tones 1 and 5, because in the way this dot and line notation is written, 1 through 4 is 1, 2, 3, or 4 dots, and 5 is the joining. 5 is a different dimension. 1 through 4 are maybe 4 different dimensions of 1. I don't know, 4 dots. And then 5 is a line, and 6 is the 1 and the 5. And relative to the wave spell, now the tone is called Rhythmic. Today's the Rhythmic storm. So there's the rhythm between things. It's another version or another dimension of duality in harmony, rhythmic, dance, sound and silence, beats, 2 feet dancing, in and out breath, daylight, day and night. Everything is rhythmic. Everything is rhythmic, and everything has its rhythm. Constant rain. Well, maybe there are places on this earth that thrive in constant rain, but there are others that thrive in no rain, and then there's everything in between. But everything, every place has its own natural rhythm where things thrive. And for me as a human, I can learn from my plants and their rhythms. I can learn from myself and my rhythms. And I can learn that we're all humans. There are certain rhythms we share and certain rhythms we don't. I have the feeling that every time I speak, I come upon a particular point where I keep talking about us reconciling same and different, dots and lines, and different combinations. And somehow maybe that's a theme of evolution right now, is how do we be individuated parts, but we are part of a collective. We have to be self-serving, and we have to serve the collective. I say we have to. Part of me thinks we have to. It stands to be corrected. The tones 1 and 5, in this case the wizard and the mirror, their connection, the connection between the dragon and the snake, the serpent. Tone 5, the overtone, a new order of, which tones create overtones. Overtones don't have any overtones. Only the bass tone has the overtones. It's very interesting. Oof. I dare not say what I was just thinking. But it all relates back to you as an individual and to us as a collective. So my individuality can serve as a reflection of your individuality, which serves as a reflection in part of the whole of the collective. We're all fractals of the collective in one way or the other. Or, yeah, interesting, we are tones upon ourselves perhaps, but we are overtones to a tone that we are an overtone to also. If we are an overtone, we don't produce any overtones. We don't have our own overtones. But the overtone tone stands for commanding, radiance, and empowerment. Yesterday, I had a very short session yesterday because I explained it, but I love the overtone right now. Rhythmic is like, boring, who needs that? I want the overtone. And the magnet, so we're in the wizard. The magnetic wizard, when the wizard wave spell, so everything is, all these 13 signs, or the 12 that follow the wizard, are all in their own function relative to the wizard. And they come around out of 20 tones, they're awake for 13 and asleep for 7, sort of. And when they're awake, one is their own, and the others, they are always merged. But there are always a lot of merging going on with a lot. So, saying nothing. I don't always say it best when I say nothing at all. Especially if I'm using a lot of words to say nothing. But tone 6, rhythmic, is a direct link to 5, in as much as 1, 2, 3, 4 merge to create 5. So how do the wizard, the eagle, the warrior in the earth, with all their qualities, merge in this particular wave spell to form the mirror, only relative to the wizard? In another wave spell where the mirror is maybe rhythmic on tone 6, a totally different, then we have the human. No. Then we would have the Skywalker merging with the wizard, with the eagle, with the warrior, to form the earth on tone 5, and then the mirror would be rhythmic 6. Then the mirror would reflect the rhythm. Who's reflecting the rhythm to the wizard now is the storm. I gotta check this out, man. We are organizing, balancing equality. And we have self-generation or auto-generation. Sometimes auto-generation or self-generation. Is that the same? Self, auto, self. If I self-generate, it's auto-generation. Catalyze energy, the storm. If we're looking at Seal 19, it's in our personal, in the development toward the sun, consciousness, developing consciousness, becoming conscious would have to mean becoming. Is anything new ever created in terms of consciousness, or is it all existent and plays itself through forgetfulness, or plays itself backwards? These are heavy philosophical questions that may not serve the daily living, so I'm leaving that out. But how does the storm, what is it doing in position 6 for the wizard? Our enchantment, auto-generation. Why am I always coming back to the yellow human and its decisions that it makes and the decisions it doesn't make? Where do we give up control and where do we take control? What do we control? Who is we? What does it mean to control? Does it matter to ask these questions? Does it matter to answer them? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes really paramount and sometimes totally not. We're on tone 6, which means the guide is the storm, double storm power. Balancing the wizard. What is it balancing in the wizard? Balancing inner and outer. The eagle, the relationship to the eagle is very significant because in the way this tone 6, the eagle is on position 2, the lunar position, so it's really denoting denoting polarity, the unity of the wizard is also a duality. There's a duality, me and other, inner and outer. The eagle's challenge in this wave spell is: do I focus? Could be. Do I focus on myself or do I focus on the collective? Do I focus inward or do I focus outward? Is my nourishment coming from within me or is it coming from outside of me? Is there even a difference? What is the link? Both are needed. If I focus on only one, I create imbalance. This inner outer is anyway in quantum reality a bit of an illusion, but let's just stay in 3D. It's not so much of an illusion. Today the rhythmic tone is bringing us back to another kind of also duality, but balanced, inner and outer. It's no longer either or. It's both and more. How many times have I quoted Kai Pachalecha in this wave spell? But the yellow human was the last wave spell. And I am consciously or unconsciously, I myself am being constantly taken back into seals from the last wave spell or this wave spell, weaving the time warp. Thank you, Spirit, for letting me look at my phone, which just stopped recording as my low battery warning showed up. I'm weaving the eagle and the storm. In the eagle's wave spell, the eagle is magnetic and the storm is on tone 5, empowering, radiant, command. The catalyst, the storm represents the great liberator. All the blue signs are transformative. The storm is the strongest. It separates. Storms can really separate positive ions, negative ions, electrons, whatever. The earth becomes very positive when the bottom of the cloud, earth facing, is very negatively charged, and the top of the cloud, sun facing, or at night there's no sun, so it's anyway facing away. It's a charge, very positively charged, and the storm energy. It's like splitting the atom. It's like it pushes the forces away from each other. It polarizes extremely until a point of discharge, lightning, thunder, electricity. Without and this auto generation, who creates the electricity in our bodies? Who creates the electricity the earth needs? Who creates all that? Who feeds and nurtures these rhythms? When do you storm and thunder? When do you need that? When does it need to be calm? do we surrender? I take us back to, do we just, having, this is the rhythmic human. When the human is rhythmic, oh man, my brain is a little faster than my words. The rhythmic human comes out of the wave spell of the blue hand, and has this relationship 1-5 with this star, yellow star. I'm not going to explore that. It's for me to explore at another time. But this ability to be human, we are all here, or I am here to develop. As the sun, for me, the major prerogative in my life is develop consciousness, develop my humanity, develop the collective humanity. Not develop. It's not my responsibility to develop, but that's how I see us here. We're developing this humanity because it's something fantastic. We're having a lot of teething problems, so to speak, but that's normal, that's natural. That is in the auto generation, the storm has to be the one teaching us that we need to learn to become auto-generative. We have to know how to use our destructive powers. It's necessary. We are destructive. The storm is destructive, but we need destruction. You cannot only keep building, 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 building. Nothing gets destroyed. How do we destroy healthily, in alignment with the creative? That needs to be learned. We need to learn that as individual humans, to be not destructive to the greater good, to be not destructive to the inner self good. Autoimmune disease, I'd go as far as saying most diseases are somehow autoimmune issues. The immune system is not coping with something. What's a cytostorm? A cytostorm that comes out of immunology. Sites, a cytostorm, something. Some storm inside. I have spoken about this in another podcast that I take up. I personally take up serious issue with the combative language when we talk about our body and the immune system and how it works. That there is an intruder that has to be fought. And the body fights, and killer cells and killer T cells, and then there's this war going on. That language, in my understanding, is so counterproductive. There's no war going on inside inasmuch as a storm on the earth is not a war. The elements are not at war with each other. Then I would have to say a magical act of lovemaking is a magical act of war. Because a lot of electricity gets generated, there's friction, there is polarization, there is release of energy, there's lightning, there's what. That's not war. So what's happening inside my body when an intruder comes in is not an intruder. My body doesn't have intruders. Guests come in. Guests come in and we check each other out. And sometimes there's heavy duty love making. And sometimes it's like, okay, this does not work. And then the whatever moves on to someone else. Or it does work and we make babies inside there. And then new information. What are these babies that if a virus enters my body and my immune system responds with the kind of a storm, and it's like a intense lovemaking session perhaps, and then information gets exchanged, fluids gets exchanged on a level of cells and viruses. Maybe it's not fluids, it's information. What is it? Electricity. It all boils down to information. And with every inhale and exhale, I pass that information to the environment. Whatever my body does with that session of lovemaking with that virus, that information gets shared. And then the virus leaves my body and has that information now in it and takes it on to the next person and shares it. So there's always this information exchange going on between all of us just through the breath. And the wind, breathing, white wind, breathing communication is the occult medicine of the storm. It's the occult position of the storm. We're always exchanging information through speech, through breath, through thoughts, through spirit, whatever, it's all the same. We can separate them or understand it's the same. It's a vital part of the storm. The red moon is a part of the storm. Universal water is the antipode, is most furthest away, but they cannot do without each other. And the other good friend, the best friend of the storm, is the yellow sun. That's where life gets ecstatic, man. When it's like, for me, life is ecstatic. Come in and let's party. I don't have a war inside me with the elements that enter my body, no matter which elements they are. I trust my body. If there's too much fluoride in the water that I drink, well, my body will not calcify my pineal gland, because my body knows this ship goes. We don't placate our pineal gland. We don't block our pineal gland. Why would we do that? Why would we use the fluoride and do that? Why would we do that? And if we do that, then I, who is I, have to trust that my body has some sort of wisdom to maybe do what everyone is doing, because if my pineal gland is really wide open while everybody else's is being blasted, then it's not fun. It's not fun seeing the truth when everybody's like, shut the fuck up, or we burn you for your fucking truth because we are running a different software now, and just get with the program. So we get with the program, and then we also plaster our pineal gland, and then at some point it's like, wait a minute, what's going on up there? So now do I want to bring in combative language and say, I gotta burst all my calcifications around my pineal gland, I need some heavy duty, God knows what frequencies? Love, maybe? Love is the greatest healer for a calcified pineal gland. I mean, honestly. Just make love to the viruses, to the fluoride, to the pineal gland, to your neighbor, to your irritant. They disappear. What is this thing? Every friend, every enemy is a friend you have, every stranger is a friend you haven't met yet. Where does the enemy come in? What is this enemy? Enemy. It's like problem. I don't know if it would be good if I could make that decision to get to what is an enemy exactly? What exactly is an enemy? Someone or something, some force that has it in mind to do me harm, right? That would be an enemy, right? To me. There is no such thing out there. What is that? Who would ill will me? Why? So I understand we're living in these systems where we get told there, but everything just wants to live, right? I mean, there isn't a human on this planet that has any vested interest in hurting me. Simple. Doesn't exist. There's also not a human on this planet who I have a vested interest in hurting. Don't exist either. There isn't anything on this planet that I have any interest in hurting. So I am not an enemy to anything. But I eat food. So am I an enemy to the food that I'm eating? Am I now the predator of the food that I'm eating? Good question. What if the food stands there and says, oof, you are my enemy? But for some reason, something tells me that is just not how it works here. I'm thinking archons. Archons. I recently learned about archons, whatever they are. I can interpret them in my own way. An archon is also just a something, whatever it is, that has an interest in its own survival. Or it is serving something or someone who has an interest of its own survival. It's not... If I start taking... I'm noticing it right now. This is a dead end. Enemy lane is a dead end. it takes me nowhere. I can't progress in that lane. I can't go anywhere because now I'm using my resources in an I'm against something. I have to fight. I have to protect myself. When I start protecting myself, I can't develop. A protection, there's a natural protection. Seedlings need protection. But the environment is, that's an inbuilt, that's built in. That protection is built into the system. And in all natural systems, that's built in. And if it isn't, the seedling doesn't survive. And that's okay, because then that environment is not the environment for the seedling to survive. But life is around, so enough seedlings survive, enough life survives. And back to the yellow humans. So many humans think they gotta take care of this. We have to take care of the earth. All right. Do we? Do we? I would go as far as saying people who say that, they have a very hard time taking care of themselves. And I'm just speaking out of my arse now, but because if you can't take care of yourself, you're going to start taking responsibility for things that you don't have even a faintest clue about. Because you can't have a clue about it, because if you don't even know how to take care of yourself, forget about it. But often that realization isn't there. So I don't recommend we argue with that. Do we have to take care of the earth? We're naturally a part of, we're natural, that's a natural process to take care of the earth. It's just, I can talk myself into hot waters here right now. I can just hear like, and I'm not here to contest a point of view or propagate one. It's just like, does the earth take care of the sun? Does the sun take care of the earth? Does the earth take care of herself relative to the sun? If the earth did not rotate, we would have a very different earth. And maybe that's what the moon is showing us. Is the moon rotating? I don't know. Well, I don't know about that. But the earth would just, if half of the earth was constantly exposed to the sun without the earth rotating anymore, it would just burn. And the other half would be in darkness and cold and would just die also. It wouldn't work. So who or what is causing this? There's an intelligence at work, and it's some other natural intelligence. Call it divine, call it nature. It's the same thing. Two different names for the same thing. And that works through us. And the auto generation, the storm. How do we position ourselves in such a way that our system auto-generate, not autoimmune, sick, autoimmune. Well, autoimmune dis-ease or autoimmune with ease. Well, if we're constantly if we can't feel ourselves, oh God, no, don't start. I wouldn't know where to start. Love, at the end of the day, love, self-love, and universal love, divinity, grace, a monkey, fun, dog, love, moon, feel, human, decide, star, be artistic, cooperate, be together. All of it swings, all of them, all of these different zodiacal frequencies and their interplay, and the human chooses, spirit chooses. The white wind is attached to the storm as the antipode, as the occult, and it is attached in the antipode position to the yellow human. Without breath, the human doesn't live. Without spirit, the human doesn't live. But the wind, as antipodal as it may be to the human, as essential, it's attached to the storm. Without polarity, without polarization, that's the pulse of life, the heartbeat of life. The heartbeat of the wizard is the blue storm. The center, the radiant, is the mirror, as within, so without. But the mirror, I mean, if I look at the mirror glyph just by itself, that is fixed. There's no movement in there. That's like form and anti-form, space and room. That's like that's fixed. The storm brings in motion into that fixed mirror, into the wizard, into the center, the heartbeat, the inner and the outer. The blood rushes in and gets pushed out. It gets sucked in, it gets let out. You know, the body has an inner pressure, atmospheric pressure, pressures on the outside of the body. And the inner pressure of the body, is it blood pressure, whatever, pushes out, and there's a homeostasis. That's pretty fixed. But within that is a heartbeat. And storms, like the heartbeat of the earth, it's necessary to pump blood, to clean blood, to the moon is a part of the storm. Antipode, the moon, memory, blood, genetic codes in the blood. Oh, it's all so linked. If water, if blood doesn't move, there's no life. There's no progression, there's no development. There's stagnation, there's death, which makes things go, ultimately death brings forth a new life. We're living in some kind of perpetuum mobile, which everything, life, death, whatever that is, gives birth to life. The end is the beginning is the end. They call the yellow sun is like the alpha and the omega. It's position 20 and 0, like the fool maybe in the tarot. It's all and nothing. It's everything. And I relate. And the storm, in which position does the storm take? Today it's rhythmic. Organizing life, balancing, equalizing, organizing, balancing, equalizing. Hello. The inner life and the mirror reflects the inner to the outer and the outer back to the inner. I reflect you, you reflect me. Whoever's listening to this, whatever you hear has nothing. I mean, what does it have to do with what I'm saying? I can't say it has nothing to do with what I'm saying, obviously. But it also has everything to do with you, how you interpret these words or the frequency that are broadcast. And something of everyone who ever listens to this is being received by me right now, whoever this me is. It's the center of a circle in the eternal now, in the quantum field. It's always now. So there's a communication happening between your inner world listening and my inner world speaking. I'm also listening. White wind. And the storm is choosing what to say and what not to say. Or maybe is it the lightning is the words? The wind? The sun? Which consciousness is speaking here? Which sun? And I'm asking that as, we can simplify everything. This sun. But you decide what the sun is. And that's, yeah, our understanding of a thing decides what that thing is to us. Meaning, the meaning things have for us. Meaning is extremely important, and meaning is not a thing. Show me meaning. You can't, it's not a physical thing, meaning. But without meaning, humans are very, very dependent on meaning. I think part of a depression, for example, is a severe loss of meaning, meaningfulness, the meaning. Things need to have a meaning. Why do I have these plants over there if they haven't, it has a meaning that means something to me? Everything means something to me. Who am I to me? What's the meaning? Sense and meaning, sense making, meaning making. Who determines, back to the yellow human, how much something means? Like, to some people, celebrating a birthday means a lot, and having their birthday forgotten by someone means a lot. But it depends on who that someone is. If that person is meaningless to the person who it means a lot to that their birthday is remembered, but if the person is not meaning very much, it doesn't matter that they forget. But if the person means a lot, that person who means a lot, if then they forget the birthday, then suddenly it becomes a big drama. It's all about the meaning we assign to everything, and yet that meaning is elusive. So if we're talking wizard, it's like these inner values, where's the boundary between the inner and the outer? It all flows and bleeds, red moon, into each other, and that's how it's meant to be. It's not that cut and dry. I am nearing the end of my storm. Meaning. There's a significant eagle in this whisper. There's a significant eagle in me, this wanting to take it to the collective as much as the individual. I see us nowadays, since the advent of the internet, so now we can talk to all the world, and our cultures are colliding in many ways, drastically, or it's very open where that happens, and your meaning and my meaning. If a lot of comedians are having this are in this difficult position where their jokes are very often, by some people, perceived as offensive because the information is given a different meaning, or sarcasm or joke is not understood. And since back in the days, it's like, oh, you don't like my joke, you're offended, you tell your friends, I don't care, I have the people here, they come and they listen, you go away, you don't like me, you don't come listen to me. Everything is kind of sort of easy and clean, and we live in this. And nowadays, that same one person can cause like a shitstorm in social media or something, and suddenly it becomes a whole big deal that wasn't a big deal, that is like, okay, you're offended, so what? My joke offends you, so what? That's not going to stop me. But if now you're banding up with two or three others and now you're causing a whole storm, a shitstorm, or managing to get me cancelled or whatnot, it's complex times, yeah? There's a storm. And we find new ways of dealing with that. with our storms, and to wither and weather our storms, and to have them make us stronger. Find new ways when avenues close. A storm can really break things. What do we do? Is it the end of the line, or do we come out of the rubble, or do we build something from the rubble, or do we decide, okay, this is over, can't rebuild this, I start something new? Always the same. We're always doing it. Life is always on our side. Spirit is always on our side. We are always on our side. Back to the theme of enemies. What enemy? If I am the enemy in myself, if I'm not on my side, because that's the programming I was given, or I've chosen, or I chose to explore the theme of, I don't know choice, but we're living on this earth plane where we can really explore the opposite of love. We can explore the opposite of universal harmony. We can explore the opposite of everything. This is the world of duality. Everything has an opposite. And these force fields that get created within that, and that is, as a human, as me individually, I have to navigate my life. Navigation, red earth, on earth, my earthly life. But I'm not alone here. We are synchronizing with each other, and we do well forming coherence. But if I'm not coherent with myself, I cannot be coherent with my environment. Because the environment or my life, my external, whatever, my internal, everything is going to be a reflection of my incoherence, my internal incoherence. And the only thing I have really control and jurisdiction is my inner world, my thoughts and my feelings. If I give that power away all the time, or I haven't learned how to be empowered, overtone, the yellow human is in the position of empowered human in the star wave spell, which is the last wave spell, which ends in the cosmic sun. I love this choreography, the development of our humanity. It's beautiful. It's art. It's the whole existing universe is a gigantic, relative to my minute humanity, is a gigantic piece of art. And since we're living in multiverses, they are infinite versions of art. And I suppose art is a somehow developed, how do I say that? This 3D speak, product is out of 3D, right? A product, a piece, and a piece of art is a something that exists, even if it's an installation art or a dance, which is a moving art, not necessarily fixed in time and space like a painting. But it is something. It is somehow within itself, I want to use the word successful. I would have to describe that now. We are all art. Successful art. It is artists. If it doesn't work, it doesn't make it to become art. Can that be? I'm thinking out loud here. If I'm creating something, I'm trying to make a car. I want to fly. I'm artfully falling around the sky. I'm jumping off my roof and I'm breaking my bones because I can't make this flying happen yet. Is that art? We could debate that. But when it eventually works, so everything that doesn't work in my process of creating flight, and I'm calling that the art. I can say anything that doesn't work in my being human or in creating a piece of art that we traditionally consider art, a painting or a song, or making a meal, or anything I want to create. When it's finished, it's a piece of art. Even a screw is a piece of art. I mean, the way it works is just artful. It works. A screw is a piece of a nut, bolt, screws, planks, a thread. Thread is art. All of it is art. All of it is like it's a piece of art with which I can create other pieces of art. So while I'm still figuring out how to make this flight thing happen, everything that doesn't work, it falls by the wayside. But it stays collected. It remains in collected experience. Tone 12, 11, 10, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? 10, I manifest, I jump off the roof, I manifest that it doesn't work, I fall, I break my bones, right? What remains? So 11 dissolves, okay, that didn't work. Maybe that's tone 11. Tone 12 is like, okay, that experience of what doesn't work gets fed into the collective. Now we all know, or all of me knows that doesn't work. I'm not going to try that again. On 13, that gets transcended. It remains that the information stays. Have I now generated new information, or have I simply manifested information that's already always been? And the answer to that question depends on which dimension you're in to answer it. And that's fine. We can blend these dimensions and give it a blended answer, or we can take them apart and give it a separate answer. There's positive electrons and negative electrons, and positive ions and negative ions, and they can be together and da-da-da, or they create a force field when we split them. It's not either or, it's both and more, and that's like the whole creative process, and the storm is so vital in that. Somewhere I touched on the eagle in the storm. I'm not going there now. And tomorrow is the yellow sun. I think tomorrow I'm not going to say anything. I think tomorrow I'll say nothing. I think I'm absolutely not qualified to talk on the sun. Unless I come in and read you something from Khalil Gibran, because I love it. Share some love. Yeah. So I've done that already today. Shared some love. Love, 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 love. Isn't it all love? What is not love? What's the opposite of love? Hatred? Whatever. Is a negative electron the opposite of a positive electron? Are they positrons and negatrons? Is that what they're called? Or is that something else altogether? Is ignorance the opposite of non-ignorance, and is non-ignorance automatically better? Do we polarize better and worse? Is it helpful that we separate everything into... I like Abraham when they say preferred and not preferred, wanted and unwanted. You cannot help but sift through life and decide what you want, what you like, what you want more of, and what you don't. You cannot stop that. That is how I see us as these little Pac-Man machines. Eat, 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 yes, like more of, nope, spit out, more of, spit out, more of, spit out. And by that process, we are evolving collectively and personally. So it's not a good idea to swallow what you should be spitting out. Don't make it a part of yourself. But hey, do it. Who knows what it does? cause a fight inside, a fight between the head and the heart, like fight for dominance. That's the opposite of coherence. It's okay. I don't have to judge it, but the consequences? Stormy, frequently stormy. I mean, really, judgment is a bummer, right? Judgment for somehow judgment is the bummer. But we can't quite do without it. So anyway, my battery is on. Great, 11%, master number 11. I'm going to love and leave us on that. And wish us a stormy, beautiful day, full of sunshine. The sun is shining outside there. I have no need to go into the sun. I have no desire to go into the sun. I'm perfectly content to be in my own radiant space and self-reflect the inner light of this wizard that's manifesting through this body person, and explore existence through this day. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that thought. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the exchange, because it is an exchange, even if it feels like it's a monologue. On the third dimension, it seems a monologue. On the quantum field, it is anything but a monologue. I appreciate that very much. And I thank the wind for communication. For me, the wind is always electric. And today it is incidentally on tone 8, galactic. Okay, I'm not going there. Oh,